Hi, brother and sisters. How are you? Hope you're good. Just wanted to share with you a few thoughts about the pandemic and the latest news. Like we've seen the last few days, there was a really rapid surge in the number of cases in a few places all over the world. I mean, we're talking about China, then we're talking about Korea, then Europe, then we find that in the United States. I mean, we're talking about massive numbers. We've seen as well, like here in the United Kingdom, Leicester is in a lockdown. We've seen like the number of cases there 3 times higher comparing to the cities close to it. And this has been happening in few places around Europe, in Germany, in Denmark, France, and in the United States. We're talking about Texas, Florida, California, Arizona. Really rapid surge in cases. The thing is, what are these people not taking this virus seriously? Are these governments are not taking this virus seriously? What's going on? We have two things here. People thinking about economy and how to bring the economy back to the way it was before, and saving people's life. It's very delicate balance, of course, but they should think that human lives are much, much more important than economy, because economy it's going to take time for it to revive, and it comes back to normal. So in the United States, for example, they were saying that this surge in numbers, because as the administration saying, it was due to the fact that there are a lot of testing being done, and therefore that's what's happening. But you cannot say that if you look now in these states, for example, like Florida or Texas, or they're looking for stadiums and halls and to turn them to shift hospitals. It's really serious. The other thing is the association between the protests that have been happening with the last, there was in its peak in 3 weeks ago, and the cases. What we see at the moment, we see that the surge in numbers, the association with ages and so on. According to St. Hopkins University's data, they're saying that in these new cases, the average age is 30 years old, comparing to the 60 years old in the norm. Could be this due to the demonstrations and the lot of young people went there, and there was like this surge was because of it. You may say that, but in fact, most of the scientists, they're saying that the closed places like bars, restaurants are the main reason for this surge in cases, new cases. If we're talking about the administration, for example, in the States, they were saying that that's because testing. If we look at again to the data that's been provided by Johns Hopkins University, we'll find out that at the moment death rates didn't go up like cases of infection by the virus, but definitely in a week time, a week and a few days, there will be the death rates will go up. Definitely, there is no doubt about that. So what's going on? Why these governments are not doing enough? Is it the science is not there? Is the well is not there from this administration? Is the economy number one priority at the moment, or what's their approach? The approach is we don't know exactly. It's lack of wisdom, I guess, uh, lack of confidence, lack of they are not really prepared. Probably they have so many different strategies, especially in the United States, and in some it's the same case in Europe as well, in some countries. But if we talk about the wider world, if we talk about China, for example, like China, they have clear strategy, but although they have all this huge administrative powers that they have, and this iron grip on the people, and the will to fight this virus, still didn't get to control it. If we talk about India today, they opened, I mean, the largest hospital in the world. I think it was really massive. It was like 5,000 or 6,000 beds, and they really preparing to fight this virus. But India, like the third world, there is nothing there for them but herd immunity. Because the third world, they have no, especially in India and Africa, they don't have sufficient equipment, they don't have medicine, they don't have hospitals, they don't have intensive care units, they don't have enough intensive care units. I mean, a country like South Sudan with 9 million people, they have only, actually with 10 million people, they have only 9 intensive care units, 9 ventilators. That's a disaster. I mean, and there must be other countries, I mean, in the continent who have the same fate. India, Africa, some of the, most of the developing countries, they have no resource, they have no equipment, and they have know-how but herd immunity. There's nothing else for them, unfortunately. No one is reporting how many people are dying in this country. The World Health Organization given us, they say 10 million people are 10 million people have died because of this pandemic, but it could be 20 times higher, 20 times higher than that. I mean, in the West itself, scientists saying that probably the number of real people that are infected by the virus could be 20 times more than the statistics, than the governments are telling us. So imagine about those developing countries. Imagine the countries in Africa, the countries in Asia, and so on. It could be more than 20 times. It could be much more. And we hear that. We see that in social media. We see people talking about it all the time. Many people in those countries, they saying that they lost loved ones. There's so many people were they infected or they died in that country or in that city or in that town or in that village or in that. And because there is no social distancing there, people then don't rely on governments to give them, to bail them out and to feed them or to give them salaries or wages for this time that they not be able to be working. And therefore, the only hope is herd immunity. Herd immunity, it takes about for 60 to 70% of people to be infected, and therefore protect the other 30%, because it will be very unlikely for those other 30% to be infected by the virus. The other thing as well, during herd immunity, those vulnerable and the people with underlying conditions and people with chronic diseases and the elderly, they should be shielded and should be protected. Other Otherwise, I mean, herd immunity gonna be very costly otherwise. Like, for example, in Sweden, we know that they took all the proper measures and so on, but still the death rates there is very high, 4 times higher than the countries around Sweden. So the World Health Organization was they not really reporting or giving us any idea about the number of deaths in those countries. An estimate, statistics, they could do that, but I have no idea why they're not doing that. And see you soon, inshallah.